message from David. I really feel like that just kind of like set the platform for today. And so, yeah, even what we've sung. So I've got a lot to unpack today, so I'm going to try my very, very best to not deviate from my notes. But, you know, I don't know. You never know what's going to happen in the house, and, you know, God's presence is here. It's here. So, okay, happy Mother's Day. On my title, on the synopsis, I wrote, more than pink. More than pink. Because Mother's Day is all about pink and lovely, and clearly I have an issue with pink. But, you know, like, and I know it's been said so eloquently and so beautifully about, like, you know, the pajamas and the fluffy robes. I've actually said, do not get me a robe. Okay, number one, like, it's too hot for me. So my apologies to anybody who's freezing right now. I've entered that stage where it's like, if it is not cold up here, then, like, I'm sorry. So just bring a jumper. So I just read the notes, Tanya. Read the notes. Because it's already been said. I have to. Okay. So I'm going to start with stories of incredible strength. So in 1982, Angela Cavallo was in her late 50s living in Georgia. Her teenage son, Tony, had a 1964 Chevrolet Impala. Like, that probably means far more to a lot of other people than it means to me. It's a car. And he was working on it in the driveway, trying to knock something loose. This knocking caused the car to wiggle off the jack before landing on him. As he lay unconscious, a young boy sees what happens, goes to, you know, the house and says, hey, there's been an accident. Angela runs out to the vehicle and began attempting to lift the car. Everyone goes, oh, well, that's really nice. Good on you, Mum. You know, give it a go. She runs out, meanwhile screaming for help, okay? Now, this particular car, a 1964 Impala, weighs 1,495 kilograms, okay? That's just a number, okay? I'm a visual. I need a visual. So I did the visual. It is actually 3-litre milk, 499 point something of these. So let's go 500 of these is how much that car weighed that's on top of her son. Okay? So she puts all her strength into lifting the rear of the vehicle, and guess what? She actually raises it enough to release the pressure off her son, and she held that car up for another 5 minutes. Okay? Guys, I can't even do a plank for 1 minute. Okay? She held that car for 5 minutes. In 2012, Laura Kanaki was a recent college graduate. Okay? 21, 22. She's looking for her dad, asked to borrow the car, and she finds him trapped under their car. He was unresponsive and trapped with one arm pinned under his chest. She realized the jack had fallen. There's a bit of something here. Guys, when you're working under your cars, check your jack. Okay? All right? So she realizes the jack had fallen, so she attempted to lift up the car by herself. In an extreme adrenaline surge, she not only lifted the car off her father, but somehow threw it. She then starts CPR, bringing his ability back to breathe on his own, taken to hospital, 5 fractured ribs, a fractured sternum and vertebrae, but other than that, he fully recovered. Okay? 2006. So these are fairly recent. These aren't all, it happened back in the 1800s or the 1900s, which we're not that far away. 1900s, late 1900s. 2006, Lydia Angiou discovered her ultimate strength when confronted with, not a car, she was walking with her children when she comes face to face to a 317 kilo, 100 of these, Okay, imagine 100 of these in one big polar bear. She comes face to face with a polar bear. Okay, her two sons at her side. She's barely 5 foot tall. How tall are you, Ree? 5 foot? 4'10". Imagine Riri. Imagine Auntie Ruth. Okay, they're squaring up with a polar bear. She yelled, kicked, punched the bear. The bear swats her, pushes her over, and then is leaning over her. She's a goner. Or is she? She starts bicycle kicking this bear, holds him off long enough for a neighbour to come, shoot 4 rounds in the air, long enough to distract the bear, puts the bear down. She was rushed to hospital, but she only had a black eye and a few scratches. When faced with insurmountable odds, people can do amazing things. But today, I want to focus on one woman. Yes, it's Mother's Day. We're going to talk a little bit about women, but this is a message for everybody, okay? Because every message points to Jesus, okay? So come on the journey with me. Today I'm going to focus on one woman who faced some pretty terrible odds and defied these by taking matters into her own hands. Any mama bears here relate to that? I'm sick of this. I'm taking the matters into my own hands. Watch out when a woman gets an adrenaline rush. This is the tale of Tamar, a seemingly obtuse chapter in between Genesis 37 and Genesis 39. One chapter. Most of us have probably just skipped over it, thought nothing more of it. But this chapter, though seemingly insignificant, becomes part of the ancestral thread to the birth of Jesus. And one of the most powerful redemption testimonies of all time. So I'm going to read through it. Genesis 38. At that time, Judah left his brothers and went to stay with a man of Adullam named Hira. There Judah met the daughter of a Canaanite woman named Shua. He married her. She gave birth to a son who was named She conceived again and gave birth to another son named him Onan. She gave birth to still another son and named him Shelah. Depends on your vernacular. Judah got a wife for his firstborn, and her name was Tamar. But Judah's firstborn, was wicked in the Lord's sight, so the Lord put him to death. Then Judah said to Onan, take your brother's wife and fulfill your duty to her as a brother-in-law to raise up offspring for your brother. But he knew that the child would not be his, and so he spilled his seed, and she was not able to conceive. What he did was wicked in the Lord's sight, so the Lord put him to death also. Judah then said to his daughter-in-law, go and live as a widow in your father's household until my son Shelah grows up. He thought he might die too. So there's something wrong with her. After a long time, Judah's wife died. And when Judah had recovered from his grief after she had died, he went up to Tamar to the men who were shearing his sheep. And his friend Hira went with him. When she was told, your father-in-law is on his way to Tamar to shear his sheep, she took off her widow's clothes and covered herself with a veil to disguise herself. And then she sat at the entrance to Enaim, which is on the road to Tamar. For she saw that though Shelah had grown up, she had not been given to him as his wife. When Judah saw her, he thought she was a prostitute, for she had covered her face, and not realizing, just like it's in the Bible, we're going to learn from this, okay? We're going to learn from this. Not realizing that she was his daughter-in-law, he went over to her and said, okay, I would like to. And what will you give me for this? She says, I will send a young goat from my flock. Will you give me a pledge, something as a pledge, until you send it? How do I know you're going to send this goat? He said, what pledge should I give you? She said, your seal, its cord, and the staff in your hand. Okay, so I've got a few props because I'm a visual learner. Cord, the word cord, I'm not going to pronounce the Hebrew, was another word for covering. So his wrap. So this identified him. That was his covering. Your seal didn't have a big enough signet ring, so I've got a lolly ring. And it has a seal on there. Driver's license, ID, your seal. And his staff. Thankfully, I had a tree fall down in my yard. Staff, because they had to walk everywhere. So I guess his car. Let's go with car. All right. Just so you guys have the visual, because it's like, oh, that sounds really nice, but what is it? Okay. So he gave them to her, slept with her, and she became pregnant by him. Let's go right down to, basically, goes home, says to his friend Hira, here, take this goat down to the prostitute. And Hira goes and says, she's not there. There's no prostitute there. And he says, oh well, okay. And fast forward, 3 months later, Judah was told, your daughter-in-law Tamar is guilty of prostitution and as a result is now pregnant. He says, based on the law, bring her out and have her burned to death. Extreme. As she was being brought out, she sent a message to her father-in-law and she said, I am pregnant by the man who owns these. She shows these. See if you recognize whose seal, cord, and staff these are. He recognizes them as his own and says, she is more righteous than I, since I would not give her to my son Shelah. When the time came for her to give birth, there were twin boys in her womb. The one that came out as she was giving birth, one of them put out his hand. So the midwife took a scarlet thread, tied it to his wrist and said, this one came out first. But when he drew back his hand, his brother came out and she said, so this is how you have broken out. And he was named Perez. Perez goes on to be great to the 38th, great grandfather, ancestor, Jesus. Okay. Shall we go home now? No. Got lots to unpack. So let's start. Let's start with Judah. Now, I'm preparing this and I'm getting mad. I can't tell you. I was like, oh, ain't no way. He is doing this to this woman. So let's start with, who is he? Why is it in the middle of chapter 37, chapter 39? He's one of Joseph's brothers. Remember Joseph? Coloured coat? It's one of his brothers. He had 11 brothers and at least one sister that we know of. He was not the number one, nor second, nor third. He was the fourth son. What else do we know about him? Let's look. Chapter 37, verse 26. He's the one that says, what will we gain if we kill our brother and cover up his blood? Let's just sell him to these people passing by. Let's not lay our hands on him. It's not our fault. After all, he is our own flesh and blood. Let's just sell him. Let's not get too, gruesome and kill him. So it was Judah who suggested selling his own brother for a profit, not because he was caring about his brother. It's because they were all jealous and he's like, I've had enough of this kid. Get this kid out of my sight. Let's get him. And then his hands are clean, right? Ever had that shh? Who's done that with their siblings? What starts out as play fighting. Oh, shh. It's okay, Mum. It's okay. Okay, shh. All right, so it's Judah that suggested selling his own brother for profit. He and all the brothers were jealous. You can almost hear him saying, killing him is too good. If we kill him, then the blood's on our hands. Let's just sell him. And all the brothers go, great idea, fantastic. So if that's not convincing enough, so what they do, They then get his robe, the colored robe that they all hated Joseph wearing. They get the colored robe. They dip it in, they slaughter a goat, dip it in the blood, and then take it back to their dad and say, oh, your son is dead. Look at this. I mean, this lie is getting more creative by the minute. Who has ever, as a kid, started a little lie, and then in order to keep the lie going so you don't get in trouble, it gets more creative and more creative and more creative? Next minute, you're telling your father that your brother is being killed. This is the blood. And I'm sure they did not think this through, because then Jacob, because he actually told everyone, this is my favorite son who is now dead, tore his clothes, put on sackcloth, mourned for many days. And if that was not enough, he then says, like, I've got Jewish relatives, so said, no, I will continue to mourn. I cannot live my life the way that I'm living it anymore. I will mourn my favorite child for years. And he did. He did. He never got over it. Talk about sibling secrets. Okay, so Judah has made this decision. He knows that his father is distraught. I'm pretty sure he was not silent about it. Oh, my son. If only my son Joseph was here. Can you imagine hearing that day by day? You already hate your brother. You already hate him. So, what does Judah do? Time has not healed his father's heart. Judah cannot keep up the charade. So what does he do? Does he go and confess to his father? No. Does he go to try and find his brother and buy him back? No. He runs away. And this is where we're at. Oh, just leave that there. It's all good. Nearly got taken out by my stuff. So he goes to see his friend Hira. Hira is a Canaanite who doesn't worship God. Judah, wanting to remove himself from his family line, involves himself in another sin. If it's not enough to cause that grief to his father, he runs away, and then he marries a Canaanite woman. It was against the religion of Israelites to marry the Canaanites. Canaanites had a pagan religion, which part of their traditions involve prostitutes at shrines. Ever tried running away from your guilt? I'm just going to look above. I'm not going to look at anyone. No. Ever made a poor choice in the middle or in the midst of a highly emotive state? It's okay. I'll keep it rhetorical. Okay, enough about him. Okay, that's the type of man Judah was. Let's move to Tamar, the heroine of this story. What do we know about her? We know that she was a Canaanite woman from Syria, Palestine, who had been raised up in a city devoted to the worship of many gods, being full of statues and images and idols of every kind of description. Let's just take a side note. She's actually brought up in this type of world, okay? She's brought up in it. She's lived in it. She knows it. She understands it. Judah took on the pagan customs, even though he was not brought up in that, okay? So let's just lock that one away. Now, Tamar actually means date palm. So I'm imagining that she was like tall, slender, beautiful, and she was given to Any wives here been given to their husbands? We are very, very blessed to be in the type of country that doesn't happen. It still happens all over the world, though. Okay? So let's not take that for granted. She's given to Judah's first son. He is wicked in the Lord's sight, and the Lord takes his life. Now, I don't even want to imagine what he has done that is so vile that the Lord goes, nah, you're gone. No. I don't even want to imagine it. But let's just say, I think it's safe to assume he did not treat his wife very well. Now she's a widow with no heir. Judah requires Onan, his second son, through a custom called the Levirate marriage to marry her and produce an heir. Children were your superannuation. Now, this is described, if you want to look it up, in Deuteronomy 25, verse 5 to 10, and it was designed to protect the widow. Okay, men would go off to war, they don't have Medicare, they don't have antibiotics, they go to war, they get sick, there are many widows. This is a law designed to protect the widow. God cares about the widows. You might be feeling a widow in the natural or in the spiritual. God cares about the widows and sees the widows. He even set forth laws to people living under these laws to care for the widows. And we see in the story of Tamar that she didn't do anything to cause her first husband's death. So, Onan must take her by law. Everybody knows it. Instead, he rejects his responsibility of providing an heir. He takes advantage of the situation for his own gratification. The Lord goes, oh, no. I wonder if God's already got a plan in mind, and he's like, no, this is not happening. So now Tamar is twice widowed and abandoned, and rather than look at the behavior of his sons, Judah blames her. I know. Weak. It was a different time, so I do understand that. But okay, let's keep going. He blames her, doesn't want his third son to die, sends her back to her father's house, effectively cut off from his family and her rightful place in his lineage to wait until his third son is of age. Now, she has no future, no promise, no love, no dignity. She is rejected and shamed. Tamar has become the victim. Can anybody relate to this? I've got a promise. I'm on my trajectory. Good, things are happening. But I have no future, no promise, no love, no dignity. I feel rejected and shamed. I am a victim. Just look on any Facebook page, any social media platform. I get so tired of looking at people confessing that they are a victim. That's where we usually go, oh, that's the rest of my life. Done. That's going to be it. Close that chapter. Sometimes we think it's easier to live the life of a victim because then we don't need to take responsibility for anything that we do. It's just my triggers. You have to change the way you talk to me because even though you don't know it, you might trigger me. So you have to say the right things so that I don't get triggered. I'm not going to tell you what my triggers are. And now we've got a whole generation across the globe tiptoeing around everybody because nobody knows what they're going to say is going to trigger somebody because they're living a victim's life. But Tamar does not identify as a victim. She's waited. She's done her duty. Okay, I don't know how long. The Bible doesn't specify how long. We don't know how old Sheila is. We don't know how long she waited. But I would think it's been a pretty long time. Enough for her to go, no. She does not identify as a victim. She does not sit and wallow. She is not content with going back to her past life. She's been sent back to her father's house. She knew that she held the key to her deliverance. Her deliverance was in the seed. She knew something was trying to destroy her hope, her faith, and her dreams. Today, you might be feeling that same way. You might be feeling that the enemy is trying to take you out, trying to pull you away from what God has promised, away from the place that God has placed you. He's trying to bring you. There's an enemy that's trying to make you extinct. You know why? Because he knows the end of the book. He knows that if he takes out enough people that he might win, even though he knows he's not going to win. But he's like, if I'm going to go down, I'm going to take as much people as I can with me. He doesn't care. But do not turn back to the things that you have done in the past. They might be familiar, but you've been rescued from that. Okay? Familiarity breeds contempt. All right? It's a new day. It's a new day. Stay right on the path that God is showing you. How can he show you? By reading the word, asking him, write it down in a journal. What do you need to show me today? I guarantee you, if you ask him, he will show you. Do not let the enemy kill what's coming your way. This is where Tamar is. She's like, I am shamed. I've not lost one but two husbands. Everybody knows. No, I'm not standing for it. So this is her plan. Why did she dress as a prostitute? Because she knew the weakness of that man. Okay? But when she took matters into her own hands, she not only changed the course of her own life and her own destiny, she also played a very significant role in Judah's transformation. Because at that moment when she says, all of this stuff belongs to the father of the child that I'm bearing, he recognizes immediately. He still could have said, oh no, they're not mine. He could have lied. Knowing the kind of person that he was that we read about, I would have expected him to lie. No, what happens is he says, she is more righteous than I. Okay? None of us is ever too far gone for redemption. And I think this is Judah's turning point. I think this is the moment that he goes, oh. And the very things that identified him in the natural and thus as the father of Tamar's children, the twins, in that moment, I think all those things reminded him of where he came from, the promises, his father's house, all of that. And so what happens is, why do we call Jesus the Lion of the tribe of Judah? If we read the beginning, it's like, Judah, no, you are deceitful. You didn't want to kill your brother. You just wanted to get rid of him. You lived a lie. You ran away. You broke the law of your father's house. You broke the law of your whole religion. And now he's called the Lion of the tribe of Judah. Judah. None of us is ever too far gone for redemption. As long as when we turn away from that life, turn away from that sin. Of course, in reality, it doesn't happen overnight. Completely understanding of that. It takes discipleship. It takes mentorship. It takes prayer. But it's about not returning to your old ways. It is Judah's descendants who become the rulers of all the tribes of Israel. He gets the best of the blessings, the prophetic blessings, and he is tied forever to the lineage of Jesus Christ. It is King Jesus who is the Lion of the tribe of Judah. It is King Jesus who will be praised by Israel. It is King Jesus who will conquer all of his enemies, and King Jesus who will rule forever, that came from the line of Judah. Don't tell me redemption is not real. It's right there. I'm not smart enough to make this stuff up on my own. It's right there. So what can we take away from Tamar? God uses the most unexpected situations and people for his glory. See, if the Bible was filled with tales of kings and amazing people who do amazing things because they were strong and this, that, and the other, we'd go, oh, that's good for them. But no, he takes broken people to be a part of his eternal promise. That means we can read that and go, oh, I identify with that. Yep. If God can use her, he can use me. Tamar is now spoken of with great respect by the elders of Bethlehem. Ruth 4:11. May you have standing in blah, 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 and be famous in Bethlehem. Through the offspring the Lord give you by this woman, may your family be like that of Perez, whom Tamar bore to Judah. She's specifically mentioned in the New Testament as well. In Matthew, Judah, the father of Perez, whose mother was Tamar. She decided not to become a victim. Think of her. She's a Canaanite woman who had to see through a plan that was so undignified. My heart broke for her when I read what she decided to do. She was like, not today. I don't know what she was thinking, but she was thinking about her future. And she was sacrificing that one thing that had not been taken by any other man. She sacrificed that one thing to sow seed into the future that then becomes Jesus's lineage. Powerful. Grace always points us back to Jesus. This chapter is ultimately about Jesus, even though he's not even mentioned. This tale points us to Jesus. The whole messy, unspeakable parts of our lives can point to Jesus. See, when you speak your testimony of how Jesus turns your life around, those messy parts no longer be who you are. They become who you were. And then people go, how can that be? How can you be this person, but you were that person? Grace of God, Jesus. And then you can share your story. I want to share as I finish an illustration. I'm just going to go with it. I'm just going with it. Did you know that flamingos lose their color or can lose their color? They actually can. If you look at a picture, a family, I don't know the collective noun, a family of flamingos. Ooh, let's use that as a tongue twister. Family of flamingos. Go. Again, faster. See, I've been talking too much. I can't say it. Right. Believe it or not, flamingos can lose their pink color because it's their diet that creates their shimmer and the tone of their feathers and their skin. But the color is never locked in. It's just an outside thing. It can always change with parenthood being the main factor. I know every parent is like, yep, where's my pink? When a flamingo is raising a young chick, it drains so much from them. Literally. Just like when a mother is nursing her baby, it's like, man, when I had my boy, my girls were great feeders. Just like every 4 hours. That's great. Lovely. Not my son. 2 hours on the dot, like I was drained. I was just like, it was a hungry baby. When a flamingo is raising a young chick, it drains so much from them, literally, energy-wise, and giving so much of their food. Why? Because this fascinating phenomenon is directly related to the production of crop milk, a nutrient-rich substance in both male and female flamingos that they secrete from their upper digestive tract to feed their chicks. But it's this nutrient that's there that gives them their pinkness. So they're literally giving of themselves, of what their identity looks like on the outside. They're literally giving that to their chicks. The very pigments responsible for their pink hue from the parents' bodies the very pigments responsible are the very pigments that cause their plumage to fade from a vibrant pink color to a faded gray-white. Why do I share this story about a flamingo? Well, just like flamingo gives off of its own nutrients, the very thing that gives it its signature color, external, remember, its outward identity, if you will, I kind of think this is what Tamar did in sacrificing everything that she was seen as. You're a widow. You're not loved. You cause these people to die. There's nothing good about you. I think this is what Tamar did. She sacrificed everything she was seen as in order to secure her future. And there is another who is as white as snow. See, you can tell in a family of flamingos which ones are nurturing their young chicks because they're not vibrant, but they're white. There is another who is as white as snow, who has sacrificed himself of his heavenly nutrients to secure your future in eternity. Part of he's the King of Kings. He sits on the right hand. Everything, the angels, they're all bowing down. Jesus goes, I'm going to sacrifice my heavenly nutrients so that I can come down and give myself to the world. I'm going to sacrifice. I'm going to bleed out. I'm going to sacrifice everything that I get. I don't need anything when I'm in heaven because I'm with Father. I'm in the heavenly realm, but I'm going to come down and I'm going to pour out to a world that is broken, but a world that needs to grow up so that they can come and live in eternity with me. He is our hope. He will give you hope. I know that some of you are right here, right now going, I've got no hope. I've been there. I know what it's like to feel so dark inside, but for the grace of God. He is our hope. He will give you hope. He will clean you up with those life-giving nutrients, His word. He will take your mess and forgive you over and over and over. Just like any parent. Like, I've been sharing some stories with my sister just recently, and I'm like, I don't know how we survived some of the things we did. Sharing then stories with my own children. Finding out things that they've kept in secret for years. Then there's the story that my beautiful eldest daughter tells me that I had no idea of a moment in high school that changed who she saw, who she was on the outside and the inside. And I wasn't there. I wasn't there. And forever I will think, I've messed up. I wasn't there for her. But she knows Jesus. And so because she knows Jesus, He's been able to help her through that mess. And now on this side of the timeline, I can talk with her and I can pray with her and I can break stuff off her life. And now we have relationship where she goes, Mum, it's happened again. I go, get on FaceTime. Get on FaceTime. We're going to break some stuff off. I could have done that 10 years ago. I wasn't able to. So now imagine the chutzpah of this mama bear now. You think, devil, you've been trying to hang on to my kid? You are the polar bear. I'm the little lady. I'm taking that polar bear down because He will take your mess and He will forgive you over and over and over. And if you are in this place thinking, I've done it, I had a promise, I turned away, this is it for me, I'm telling you now, He will use you again and again. He will use your mess again and again and again. This is His grace. This is the grace of Jesus. Through the bloodline of not one but two prostitutes. Our King Jesus, who shed His blood, was so unworthy. He would love nothing more than to make this grace, this hope, known to each and every one of you. He is whiter than snow. He is sacrificing, but he is not depleted. He will never be depleted. So if you are listening to this message, this crazy girl who brings a stick and a bottle of milk and, talks about flamingos. If you're listening to this message today and you're like, I don't understand this hope that she's talking about, there is hope. We have got people who will be able to share this hope with you, who will be able to take you on a journey and say, there is nothing that God can't use. There is nothing that is not redeemable for you. Amen.